Okay, we're live. All right, guys. Merry Christmas to you guys on December 22nd, 2022.
Back
I
to the future.
yeah. You can see that Coach is back with us today after missing a couple of podcasts. And you can see he's got his Christmas tree all lit up, looking all Christmassy 2 days before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I love Christmas. This is my favorite time of year.
Yeah, I know. You
I love
got
Christmas.
on here this morning, caught me with Christmas music going.
Yeah, I love Christmas music too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, let's clean up a little business first before we get started. First of all, I want to thank you guys for watching the podcast. Please subscribe to it on YouTube and share it with your friends. Please, your Hawkeye friends, your Husker friends, your Cyclone friends, do whatever, Let them know that we're here. I had a story because I've shared this so much, and it's starting to fool around YouTube a little bit on its own. The show is I went back to a reunion in October, and I had everybody telling me that they've been watching the podcast, and I go, "What? Really? Seriously?" I mean, it just made my day, and one guy come up to me, one of my buddies growing up, he goes, "I didn't know you knew anything about football." I'm like, "I always knew, buddy. I always knew. You just ain't paying attention."
Yeah, the
And
sponsor of my Facebook page watches the show.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
We don't want to disappoint him. We want to keep pumping these shows out for your sponsor.
Right.
Speaking of sponsors, this show is sponsored by Sensi by Terry. There's her website right there, guys. Looking that it's too late to order for Christmas now. You're not going to get it for Christmas. I don't even know if you're going to get it for New Year's, but hey, order it now. Have fun with it. Make your house look good. After you pack up the Christmas stuff, you're going to want some stuff around the house to smell, New Year's Eve, wintry, and things for your house. So do that and just order some of this stuff. Go to Terry's page. She's got a lot of good stuff over there. We've all bought stuff from her, and I've bought it a couple times, and so it's just good stuff. And I don't know what else to tell you except it smells good. It opens up my nose a little bit, and walk in, and it smells nice. Hi there. I love animals. That would be my granddaughter over there, one of our first listeners today. So yeah, let's do that, guys. Go check her out, and while you're there, tell Terry we sent you so she knows her money is well spent. And by the way, Terry kind of wanted to be on this podcast, so I sent her a link, but maybe because we're doing it in the morning, she didn't get in on it. I don't know. Because we were going to do it last night. She wanted to be in on it. So maybe she will pop in, guys, or you'll see some comments from her later, but she does have a day job, as does Paul. If you're wondering where Paul's at, Paul's on his new day job. So, we'll see him another time. All right. So, this podcast is going to be about signing day. We're not going to mention who because he's not part of this team. We want to focus on. Yeah, I know. Well, I just want to tell the commenters, if they comment, please don't comment his name. Don't bring it up. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Okay. There's nobody listening, really. Not yet, anyhow. All right. I do want to just bring up briefly a couple of things that happened in yesterday's basketball games. Caitlin Clark tied the record for getting to 2,000 points the fastest with 75 games. Yep. And her team did what they were supposed to do yesterday, blew out the opponent. However, the men who were 32-point favorites couldn't manage to do that. It goes down as one of the worst defeats of a 30-point, well, actually the worst defeat of a 30-point favorite team. No team that was has ever lost that was a 30-point favorite ever. And Iowa managed to be the first. So after having a year of our worst offense, now we have the year of having the record for being the first team to lose with 30 points. I think it just shows to me, and it was obvious to me how much they miss having Connor on the floor. the leader on the floor, keeping people calm. I mean, the turnovers like crazy. If he's on the floor, the turnovers like that don't happen that much. The passing probably a little bit crisper. The leadership is definitely there to keep people down going. And overall, he's our floor general, and we needed him on the floor, and it hurt not to have him. Okay, why can't you feel your cheeks today, Jared?
Because it's cold.
It's cold here too, guys. Although it's not below zero, it's like you guys are, but
yeah, no, it's cold.
Yeah,
I still haven't gone out and got the snowblower out for the driveway yet and the sidewalk. It's cold today. Like, I love the cold, but today is extra cold. This isn't.
And how much snow did you guys get, Jared? How much did you get? How much did you get, Coach?
We only got like a couple inches here, maybe 3 inches here in Omaha. I don't know the exact amount, but looking outside, we didn't get. They originally said like 5 or 6 inches, but we didn't get that. I can guarantee that. We got a couple inches. That's about it.
I think Omaha's in a unique location. I used to go there every March for a food show, and it seemed like it started warming up into the 70s in March a lot quicker than it did in the part of Iowa I lived in. And so,
right.
Anyhow, because there's a lot of times I can remember walking around Omaha, especially in the old shopping district, where I didn't have to put on my coat. We could just go without our coats. In March, it's still coat weather. Okay. All right, let's get right to it. Let's get right to our signing day special. I'm going to throw a lot of things.
I wanted to say something about the basketball team, though.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not. They took the game for granted. Like, you could tell they thought they were going to walk in and destroy them. They didn't look like they really wanted to play that game, which I think Iowa State saw that, because you see what Iowa State did? Yeah. They canceled their games. They canceled 2 games against opponents that they, were supposed to beat. And Omaha was one of them, UNO. So Iowa probably should have just canceled that game if they weren't going to want to play it.
Right.
That's a big part of why Connor didn't play, is because they probably assumed. I mean, the coaches, everybody just assumed.
Yeah, and they got out to a fast start. They did get out to a fast start against this team, and the quotes from Philip Rabracha says it all. And he said exactly what you said. They took this team for granted. They got out to a quick start. They thought they were going to walk all over this team, and they didn't respect their opponent.
That's what he said.
I don't care.
He really said that?
That's exactly what he said in the news conference. I didn't get to read the other quotes, but some of the other players had some quotes, I think, probably along the same lines.
I mean, you could tell it looked like they didn't really want to be there, even when they were down by 10. When it should have kicked in, there was still 5 minutes to go.
Right.
And they were a 30-point better team. I mean, they really were.
Yeah.
But they just, you can't. It's like when you go to, I mean, even something as small as like open gym, and you pick your team, you're like, oh, we're going to smash these guys. Have you ever played on a court where if you win, you keep the court, right? The losing team gets off and another team comes on. And that's kind of what that looked like and sometimes you're like, oh, shoot, we're going to lose this thing. And that's what happened. They never should have lost that game. They should have took it more seriously, especially the backups. I was sad Carter Kingsbury didn't get a shot to play in the game, because he's been playing well. He could play offense, but his defense has been there too. Right. And then let a team score 90 points that averaged what, in the 50s?
Right.
And
this team only shot in the 50% range for free throws. You could have fooled me that they were a 50% free throw shooting team. But, and then they don't hit threes. They had like a 27% coming into this, hitting 3-pointers, and they could have fooled me. They weren't hitting. It was crazy. And to me, and this goes back to my theory, is you should be playing man-to-man defense when you just completely have more talent, you're more athletic. You should not give a team a chance to shoot threes by playing zone defense. Right. In my opinion. And that's how you lose to teams like Eastern Illinois, is you play that stupid zone and you let them shoot threes. Right. Play man-to-man, you're more athletic, get in their face,
and shut them down. It's the same way for football for me. I mean, if you're more athletic, the receivers can't get open. Play man to man and just shut them down. But
Right. Yeah.
6
According
inches
to
is
the press
slow.
conference yesterday, Jared, both Connor and Chris are supposed to be back for Nebraska. We'll see. I don't know. That planner, what do you call it? I can't even say it. But, that Chris got that plantar fascia. I've had it. That doesn't go away overnight. Basically, he goes out there, and how much pain can he tolerate when he's out
It's
there
all
running around and jumping?
Yeah, it's all about how much pain you can tolerate. I think
Yeah.
Connor will be back. I don't
Connor will be
know.
back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm having my doubt. He's saying that he might be back, but that's because he's got 10 days before they play their next game. And,
Who? Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 days now or 7 days now, but it doesn't matter. Um,
They just need Connor.
if they think that's going to go away overnight, it's not. It takes work. It takes the right shoes. It takes the right support. It took me a year to get rid of it the first time.
Yeah.
So okay,
they just need Connor back.
If we can have Connor back, we can beat Nebraska. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So we signed. Here's what I got down: 20 high school guys, 1 junior high, 2 transfer portals, and 7 walk-ons. Is that what we signed? I know its class is listed as officially as 21.
Yeah, that's 21.
Yeah,
that's what they have been, and that's what I have. So
yeah, I know it. It's 21 overall, but they don't seem to count the walk-ons or the transfers.
No, that's a completely different. They don't count walk-ons at all.
Okay.
Because it's not scholarship based, but the transfers is a completely different recruiting class now. So
right.
you got transfer rankings, which Iowa is high up on because of the 2 guys they got.
Right.
And you're going to go after more now after they got their class signed. Now they'll go after more transfers to fill in the gaps that they may have missed, or maybe they can get some of these good offensive linemen that are out in the portal. So they're going to continue looking at transfers. They've bought into the transfer portal, but they still are going to want to get their guys that fit the team without the transfer. They've been using the transfer portal. There's 2 guys in NFL right now that transferred to Iowa, right? That Eflin, that defensive lineman, plays for Green Bay.
Yeah.
Jack. And Van Valkenburg is one who transferred that played this year, who's a star, who will be in the draft.
Right. Yeah, people think that they're not utilizing it. It's because we're not bringing in 4, 5, 6 people every year. We're bringing in 1 or 2 guys that kind of fit the holes that we need to get filled.
Right, and I think that's how they will use it. Now, if they can get the talent that they got this year, like getting a linebacker possibly or something like that, or bring in a running back with the kind of talent like that they got at quarterback and tight end, you can start bringing in 4 and 5 stars who've proven that they're 4 and 5 stars. But what people don't understand is that there's so many 5 stars that just don't make it, right? They're highly recruited. They go to their school and they don't play it down. There is so many of them. So, I mean, we get caught up in the star rating, and I do a little bit because I do the rankings on quarterbacks. So I get caught up. Like I have Marco as a 5-star. I got Marco. I am so excited. Marco signed with Iowa, and it sounds like that my prediction is possibly wrong with Brian. We'll see. I hope Brian gets a shot next year with the quarterback. That's what I hope. So we can get back to scoring points.
Okay. Are you thinking that you're hearing that he may not?
Just by a couple of the recruits that have signed, that signed yesterday, that I thought might not if Brian is gone. They signed. So that tells me that maybe the coaching staff is going to stay the same, and they're going to work on the recruiting aspect of it, the transfer portal, like change their ways and they don't have their crutches at quarterback this year. And I think Trevor Locke, who I was praying would sign with Iowa, he did. I think he's got the outside chance of starting next year at right tackle. That was going to be Proctor's spot, but
Right.
I think Trevor Locke is just as good. He's not just because he's a 4-star, not a 5-star like Proctor, doesn't mean he's not going to be just as good.
Right.
So
what it boils down to,
4-star. He's not a low 4-star. He's a high 4-star.
Yeah.
So,
what it boils down to is how hard are these guys willing to work? Let me say this about Proctor, because this is going to come back around to Proctor on the next question I've got. Is what's going on at Alabama on the offensive linemen, that there are 3 or 4 offensive linemen from Alabama in the portal. Are they not really utilizing these guys, or
no, this is what's going to be in the future of teams like Alabama. You're going to see this happen every year across the country on Ohio State. You're going to see guys leave Ohio State, Texas now because they're recruiting well. All these players, all these teams that are getting all these 4 and 5-star players who think they're the king of the mountain, right? And then they get to a team that the whole team is full of 4 and 5 stars, and they're not playing. They're just going to transfer, right? That's what's going to happen with the transfer portal, because now you're not stuck at your school trying to work to get that starting job. You feel like, well, heck, I was a 5-star and I'm not starting. Well, I'll just transfer here, right?
Well, that probably blows my
going on in Alabama. I just think these kids want to play.
That probably blows my prediction out that Proctor wouldn't play the first year, because if these guys are actually leaving, then he doesn't have that much in front of him already, because you know that there's 4 and 5-star talent at every position at Alabama. And
it's going to be
I thought maybe it'd be an uphill battle for him to get on the field this year. Next year,
they still have talent there.
Yeah, I know.
Just because those players left, don't mean that there's not talent there. He's still going to work hard. And then the thing that I will say about all this is, have you ever seen a professional athlete get their paycheck and then not really play much anymore? They get their big payday, like they go through their rookie contract, and then they sign their big contract, and they're not the same, right?
Right.
They got their guaranteed money.
Right.
And what's going to happen to these 18-year-old kids who are getting this kind of money? Now, are they going to be willing to work hard? Are they just going to be like, well, I just got a couple million, huh? You're not going to tell me what to do, right?
Right. And it's just, I have a hard time, fathom them not having any money to go into having that kind of money and keeping a level head, just coming in and working as hard as they would have if they didn't have the money. I don't know. This is crazy, because who's going to help them manage that kind of money? They're not. They're probably going to blow through it in a hurry. Mama's going to blow through it in a hurry. Mama going to buy herself a new house and a new car and blow through the money.
I mean, yeah. The only way that to me this would work is if they have to play the years to get that money, right? Because he got like an $500,000 to $800,000 sign bonus, which sounds silly, right? But he's also getting $500,000 a year, which is a couple million.
Okay, so that's where the $2 million came from. It didn't come from all up front.
It's not all up front. Okay. However, is a guaranteed that he gets that money, or does he have to play to get that money?
Right. Like, I would think he'd have to play.
There's so many things that I don't understand yet about the NIL, because I don't understand why you would give a kid a couple million, just like the kid Quinn Ewers, who is one of the best quarterbacks. I loved him coming out of high school. He went to Ohio State, collected $2 million, and then left, went to Texas. After 1 year, he literally collected a $2 million check, played backup quarterback. He was the number 2 quarterback for Ohio State behind CJ Stroud. And then he just transferred to Texas after he got his money. So that would be, why would anybody, even if you have all that money, why would you waste it? Like, why would you just give a kid this kind of money and then he gets to transfer out. Why wouldn't you spread it out that you have to be here? You're going to get a couple million, but you have to be here all 4 years.
Yeah.
So
What if something like this was the case that you'll get your money, but you have to earn the starting spot to get it first, and so he moves out because he couldn't earn the starting spot.
I mean, right? That's what I would think you would do, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's how it's working. That's not
Okay.
how it's been working right now.
All right.
At least not for Quinn Ewers, because we've obviously witnessed what he did.
Okay. Let's go. I asked you before the show. I was going to ask you, and let's tell the people. Who the on this signing day. Who you think has a chance to play a lot next year, or I should say, contribute a lot more than the 4 games that most of them will get next year.
Well, my number one. Sorry, I got a message from the wife. I had to read it. Yeah. Number one for me is Trevor Locke. I don't remember if I said it on when we were live or not, but you and I discussed it before we went live.
Right.
I think he has a shot to start at right tackle. I mean, I really think this kid is really good, and that's why I wasn't so hard up when Proctor changed his mind, because all that does is open the door for Trevor Locke in my mind. I think he's going to be the starting right tackle next year. I think he's extremely good, and we'll find out. Obviously, he's going to have to work hard when he gets there, but I don't think. And Iowa also got Leighton Jones, who, let me look real quick. Yeah, he's an interior lineman, and he's really good. And if we want to be star rated, he's close. He's right there on the edge of being a 4-star. It has him as a 3-star, but he's rated as 88-31, right? 89 will put him in 4-star category. So we're talking about all these stars or whatever, and yeah, he's a 3-star, but he's right on the edge of a 4-star. Like, he's literally right there. I think those two will have a shot on the offensive line. But Trevor Locke is my guy, who I really think is going to take that right tackle spot right away, in my opinion. Especially if he comes in spring. I don't know if he's going to come in spring or not, if he's able to graduate early. I hope so, because if he's there in the spring, that's going to be a big boost. That's for the offensive lineman, but at receiver, Alex Moda, I think they're going to use his speed. I think he's going to have a chance to play right away at wide receiver. That's what he wants. He literally went to Iowa to play wide receiver.
Okay.
So that's literally what he wants.
Yeah, I think
he's rated. I think he's an athlete. Yeah, he's an athlete, but he's not going to be anything but a wide receiver. He went to Iowa to play wide receiver. That's what he wants. So, and that's exciting because he's got some speed. He's 6'1", 180 pounds. I mean, Iowa's going to have some big dudes at receiver.
Yeah. So, what about a couple other receivers that they're signing? Would they have a chance? Jarrett, is it Bourret?
Bowie.
And Bowie, okay, and Dayton Howard. I know that there's some people high on those guys too.
Oh yeah, Dayton Howard is 6'5". Iowa's got Brody Breck at 6'4". We got Howard at 6'5", and these are legitimate receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Bowie is 6'2", I think. He's 6'2" or 6'3". Iowa's going to have some size, and they're going to have a quarterback to get them the ball. So this is really exciting. This is why I think the coaching staff might remain the same.
Right.
Is because of how good of recruiting that they've been doing, and they brought in their quarterback. But Campbell's got to be happy. Not Campbell. Yeah. Who's the wide receiver coach? Is it Campbell?
No, it's
What's his name? How did I forget? Anyway,
yeah, well, now I'm drawing a blank. I could have told you a minute.
Copeland?
Copeland?
Jeez. Campbell's the linebacker. But anyway, Copeland, he was struggling with recruiting, right? He said it during the season in an interview, but it turns out he's got all his dudes.
Mhm,
He's got the dudes he wanted. He wanted some bigger wide receivers,
mhm,
um, which is what uh, Bruce struggled with as being a short guy. So Bruce is more of a gadget guy, which is why I hope he goes to Mississippi State. Um, Rest in peace, Mike Leach. But yeah, I think the coaching staff might remain the same because of how well recruiting went, and they got the guys they really wanted. So
Who? Yeah.
I would still like to see a change at the O line. I know the quarterback will be able to help the O line as far as communication and pass pro,
Mhm,
but and KJ will get better. Caleb, the new KJ,
mhm,
Caleb Johnson will get better at pass blocking too. Like he was a big part of the pass blocking not being there at times.
right.
Um, but having an accurate quarterback um, is going to help tremendously with these wide open receivers that we saw all year, right? So
Mhm,
the offensive line is going to look better regardless. And I really think Caleb's going to go for 1,500 yards next year, 6 yards a carry. I mean, this year he averaged 5.4 yards a carry. I have no issues with adding a half a yard per carry with a
mhm,
more experienced offensive line
right.
and a better offensive line for that matter. It won't take much to replace Jack Plum, right?
Mhm,
He was one of the ones that would get confused at times, but that also was on the quarterback.
right.
So
It just goes to show you how thin we were at offensive linemen too, because Plum has been not that great on the line for a couple of years now, and he keeps getting knocked around, and yet he keeps showing up.
well, I mean they had no choice.
Yeah, they had no choice
But
but to use him. It's like, okay, he we got to put him out. That's all we've got.
yeah, well he was better than the other guys, right? They
Right.
gave other people chances, but Plum was better. And
Hmm.
he was really good at blocking when he knew who to block,
Right.
right? So that I mean, all that confusion, it goes down to having a new center for communication and the quarterback not changing the pass blocking assignments, like the one that everybody blamed Jack Plum on when it was Padilla, who they had slide protection on. Padilla has to change it when he sees the lineman.
Hmm.
And we saw Jack Plum block down, and it made him look silly because he let that outside rusher just go free. But really, it was on Padilla. So, um, no, I mean, I'm really excited about this receiving core. I think our running backs are going to be good, obviously, um, because I think Patterson is going to be good. Now they got a Washington kid.
Yeah,
Um,
Terrell Washington.
yeah, he's supposed to be good as
He,
well.
he's supposed to be our
Um,
our replacement for Bruce,
Gavin,
running back,
Gavin.
receiver.
Oh, well, he's going to be a running back. Bruce is a receiver.
Right.
I would say he's going to replace Bruce.
Hmm.
But um, yeah,
So, is there a guy on here that we got that can help? Because I mean, all these guys have a shot to play with the way the wide receiver room has been beat up, and we don't have any more. How these guys? We're looking for a field stretcher, somebody who can get downfield and stretch the ball, because we got a quarterback who can get him the ball now.
well, he
Um,
doesn't. He's not a deep thrower though.
he's not
Petrus is more of a deep thrower. They're don't.
okay.
They're not gonna. They're gonna have all. I mean, Brett could stretch the field. He's shown it at times.
Hmm.
Uh, all these receivers can stretch. They don't have a 4-3 guy, no,
Hmm.
but they have size. If they're man to man, throw it up. But you have to make what people don't understand is you can't just throw the ball deep like what everybody wants. When you have, you know why all these receivers are wide open underneath for first downs? Because they're playing over the top. They're like making you complete passes. They're
Hmm.
not going to give up the big one on you because that's
Right.
all what Petrus really was good at was throwing the deep ball. But you can't throw it if the defense is playing deep. I mean, it's the silliest thing. You wonder why all these receivers that we see are wide open 8 to 10 yards downfield. Well, it's because no one's covering him because you don't have to because the quarterback's not accurate. Now he'll be able to connect on those and make the defense come up, right?
Right.
So that's going to be a huge thing with play calling. Is you're going to be able to throw it deep because you're going to have a quarterback that can complete those 8-yard out routes, crossing routes, and you're going to make the defense have to defend them. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I got listed here too, a guy from Iowa and Western. I don't know if you got to see the championship game, but I did watch it. That they played and they won. They're national
Yep.
champions. But Ontario Thompson,
Yeah.
defensive tackle.
Yeah.
It looks like he could find some playing time next year too.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
But
That depends on does Van Ness move outside full time to take Van Valkenburg's spot? Does Van Ness leave in the draft? I mean, the defense is just stacked. When they're not, the defense is what we hope the offense to be soon, right? Is
Right.
they just reload. They don't rebuild. The defense is so deep that I mean he might get some playing time as far as rotation, right?
Right.
But I think it depends on do they move Van Ness outside? He does say he likes being outside. They can move him outside full time, and then that will give him an opportunity because he's a defensive tackle.
Right.
But does Van Ness come back at all? If he doesn't come back at all, because he's a predicted first-round draft pick, the only predicted first-round draft pick is Van Ness, which sounds weird because he doesn't even start, right? He doesn't.
That just shows you what the scouts love about him already.
Oh yeah, he's Hercules, man. That dude is a beast.
So Campbell's not even a first-round draft pick, huh?
Yeah, no, Campbell's not. He's going to be a 3rd to 5th round. They say. That's
wow.
It's. I mean, I think it has to do with who needs a linebacker, right?
Right.
And that's what all these are. Is this the year where teams are going to look at defensive linemen? Is this the year of the quarterback? I mean, it's always different in the NFL draft. You're lucky when you're lucky, right? If the first pick of the draft needs a quarterback, that's what they're going to pick. Even if the quarterback's not worth it, that's what they're going to do. But no, he definitely has a chance for playing time, but I think it just depends on, what happens from here. This is why I cannot wait till January. In January, I feel like we are going to see a lot of things depending on what happens, right?
We should see a lot. We should see a lot of movement in the transfer portal. I would hope.
I don't know
get these
how much we're going to see in the transfer portal. I believe they are going to go look, but I just think because come January we're going to know the coaching staff situation. Am I right or am I wrong? I told you what I was hearing, right?
Right.
Which was it was inside noise of people chit chatting,
right?
But, the one person who makes the final say, he didn't tell anybody, right? He knows what he's going to do, but he hasn't said a word. Maybe Brian and Phil know. Those are the 3 guys that nobody talks to. So
yeah,
those guys might know, but the noise, all the chatter of, like I was saying, that I know a couple coaches who wanted to see LaBosse, 6 games ago, right? They wanted Padilla to get his shot against Nevada. Well, that was Brian. That was mostly Brian. So, I mean, there's all kinds of noise, but facts, we'll find out facts in January.
Yes, we will.
I predicted Brian was gone, but there's a couple of guys that we signed that I didn't think would sign if Brian was gone. So
I think and I agree with you on that. Just because we have to have things in place for spring practice ready to go. They also got to continue recruiting because I think first week in February is another signing day.
Yep, that's the last signing day. Yep.
Yeah, so I think they do have to, more importantly, have everything in place to get ready for spring practice, especially if they're going to change up the offense a little bit to be more explosive, like we've been hearing the recruits say. You know,
They're not.
Are they just being fed a line of bull?
It's what it is. Is they see how he notices how good the offense is going to be with him. They're not going to change anything. They may run some more RPOs, stuff like that, because the quarterback can run that stuff. Now, last year they ran some RPOs, but it doesn't look as good because Peters can't read it. If you remember, one big RPO was the Illinois game where he did the shovel pass to Florida. If he gives it to Bruce, it's a walk-in touchdown, right? For Bruce. I mean, it's not a walk-in for me. I'd be running for my life. But it would have been for somebody like Bruce, right? It was just wide open.
Yeah, I can't help but think if Bruce had gotten a few more balls his way when he was wide open, that he'd still be here.
I don't know about that. He was wanting to be, when he got the punt return taken away from him. And to me, it's for good reason.
It was injury. They're trying to protect him.
No, it was. I'm talking about when he came back.
Oh, okay.
When they gave it to DeJean, he wasn't happy, right? So, and I don't know why Bruce wasn't returning kickoffs. Why Caleb is our kickoff returner is beyond me. X should have been the kickoff returner, if anything.
Right.
Because KJ doesn't even try. There was a few returns where he literally just fell down. If he cuts inside, he could have gotten a lot. That's where Charlie would have been good. If he stayed at Iowa, Iowa probably wins a couple more games with his kick returning ability. But the punt return ability, no. You realize Iowa averaged 9 yards per punt return?
That's not good.
Charlie only averaged 7 yards per punt return. So Iowa did miss him on the punt returns. The kickoff returns, I will admit, but I don't know why Caleb was returning. He doesn't act like he wants to be a kickoff returner. So
maybe he doesn't. Maybe they put him back there. And
I don't know why. I can't explain that. It doesn't make any dang sense to me. But if you put Bruce back there, he would actually try, right?
Right.
So, no, I don't think anything. Once Bruce got the punt return duties taken away, he was gone. I heard he was really mad about it. So, and the fact that he wasn't getting the ball thrown to him as well, even when he is wide freaking open, and that's on the quarterback. I don't think we're going to see any changes as far as the philosophy on the offense. I think they're going to do what they do. They're going to connect on the open receivers like they have in the past. You will see, like I said, you'll see more RPOs. You'll see more things that the quarterback does best, right?
Yeah.
He's really good at the RPO, so you might see some of that, which is what they do at Minnesota. I don't mean like RPOs by him pulling the ball out and keeping it and running it. I mean pulling it out and throwing it like they do at Minnesota, where they only run the dang slants. That's all they run.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's obvious that they're going to still run the offense through the tight ends. They always have, and I think they're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, Casey, I put that out there in the universe, buddy. I put it on Twitter and on my Facebook page. I mean, I think that could happen. I really do. If it doesn't go well with Proctor at Alabama, now his price tag will be lower. I was not going to give him as much as they were right now, which I think was $800,000. Is what I think is the price I heard they were going to give him.
I heard 1.5 million, but that's different.
Total?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that could have been. I heard $800,000, but that could have just been the sign on. So, it could have been $1.5 million. I mean, that would have been worth it if he turns out to be good. But the thing is, like I said, how many of these 5-stars don't turn out to be anything, and they're going to collect that kind of money?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. My prediction here. if that were to happen, that he'd want to come back, would Iowa be open arms to him to come back, or would they be mad about the way they were treated at the end?
I think they would let him come back with some. It just wouldn't be as much money and all that. I think they
Mhm.
would be like, "Well, you can come back, but you're going to compete." They're
Mhm.
not going to say no. They're going to let
Right.
him come back, but they're not going to give him the money they were going to,
Well, I just wondered if the
unless
coaches.
he calls.
I always feel like Brian Ferentz holds grudges and stuff against his guys. It kind of reminds me when Oliver Martin decided that he made a mistake and wanted to come back to Iowa. They let him on, but it just didn't seem like that they were kind of still mad at him, so they were punishing him throughout the season
No,
because
that's crap.
he wasn't getting a lot of targets and everything.
Because he's not good. I mean, there's a thing called not being very good.
Oh, so he wasn't as good as we thought he was.
Well, I mean, look what he's done in Nebraska. Nothing. I mean, we have to look at stuff as not so negative. There's a
Right.
reality of kids not being very good.
All right. Okay.
He was one of them.
All right. Okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I just thrown it out there from my
But
perspective.
you have to look at the career, right?
Mhm.
I had
So
this
he wasn't really
conversation.
a 5-star wide receiver after all.
No, look what he's done in Nebraska. Literally nothing.
Uh
So, I had the reason why I'm getting excited because I had this conversation with somebody else who said the same thing about Hogan. Dude,
huh.
I'm like, and they're like, we're not going to know what it would have been like. Yes, look at his career. He walked on to Kentucky, and 2 freshmen passed him on the depth chart at Kentucky. He's
Right.
not going to get a scholarship. They just
No.
brought in a quarterback transfer to Kentucky. That tells you that Hogan's going to end up back in the transfer portal, and he's going to have to go down a level. He's not a
Mhm.
Division I quarterback, no matter what Iowa fans want to believe.
Right.
It's because he can't remember plays.
Yeah.
His
I
dad.
think he's another guy with mommy pushing out there in the front for him.
Well, yeah.
Mommy
I mean,
mommy
that's what.
decide this for me. Mommy decides that for me.
Well, I mean, I understand the mama bear thing. So it's just she's not demanding money. She just wants to see her son succeed, right? I mean,
Mhm.
his dad was his dad was his coach in high school. It just tells you that their offense was probably very simple, and they probably talked about it at the dinner table, and he understood it. Because
Right.
athletic wise, he's really good. I had
Mhm.
him as a 4-star come out of high school. He is really good. His brain, he just does not have the football mind.
Mhm.
So, and that's big time. I mean, to be a quarterback, you're not just learning the wide receiver spot, you're learning everything. So
Right.
you literally got to know what like when you call a play, like in my playbook, trips right, um, all two Blue Jay, it tells you that all two means that everybody else is running a slant except the blue receiver is going to run the slant corner or post corner, depends on how skinny or deep you want to run it. So the quarterback literally has to know. Now that's an easy play call, right? There's not what they do at Iowa or at Kentucky. That's a simple play call. What I just said, but he has to literally know what every position. Where like the offensive line, they listen for one part of a play, right? That tells them what to do. The quarterback has to know what every single part of that play means. So, yeah, it's just that's why I got excited for a second. Sometimes kids just aren't that good. It's
Okay.
not grudges. Brian's not holding grudges against anybody. It's
Okay.
just um,
All right. Here's
talking
up.
about the
Let's
career.
move on to this question. I was going to ask you this question pretty quick, and so Eric beat me to it. So,
Oh,
what do you
Jared.
think?
I love that, Jared. Go
What do
ahead,
you do?
Eric. No, he said Jewel and Campbell together. I'm a Broncos fan. I would love that,
You would love it, yeah.
even though they're a 4-3 team. So, what latest news about? There's a few of them. There isn't any exact kids. I don't want to give you names, but they are going to go after. They were literally waiting for yesterday, right? They were waiting to find out who exactly is going to sign, who do they have as far as the transfer portal? They're not, like I was saying before, they're not going to use the transfer portal um, as a way of recruiting because Kirk, I mean, when he retires, this might make him retire before his contract's up because he believes in a family environment. He believes in bringing kids in, working hard together as a team, right? So he's not going to just bring in, 20 transfers because it's not the environment that he wants. It's not how he wants to coach. Like you got the coach at Michigan State who, geez, he brought in what, 12, 15 transfers or whatever. USC this year, I think, had 25, 30 transfers.
Hmm.
That's not the environment that
Not an Iowa environment.
no, it's really not. And it's not going to be as long as KF is the head coach.
Yeah,
Right?
and what you just said reflects exactly what he said in his interview yesterday, or his presser. He basically said that he doesn't want to build the team through transfer portals. He wants to build it through the high school kids coming in and growing up in the program. And basically he basically brought up the family atmosphere and togetherness and everything, and that's the way you build it, he said. And so,
I mean, in my opinion, I 100% agree with him.
Mhm.
I love the transfer portal for uh, for reasons of like if the coach leaves, you should be able to go wherever you want because
Right.
most kids commit to a coach, not a school, and that's something that Iowa fans struggle with. They just 100% struggle with kids wanting to commit to a coach and not the University of Iowa. I just don't
Hmm.
understand that. That's just, that's uh, the big thing, and I don't want to see 20 transfers come in to Iowa. That's just not. It's not my way either. That's not the way I would like it. But I could see Coach saying what you just said because that's the way he's always. That's why he's always used the transfer portal just for um, needs right away. Right?
Right,
He
right,
needed
right. Yeah.
defensive tackles. He went and got Heflin and Van Valkenburg and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
And the one thing about his transfer portal picks, all except for one person, they're usually, well, actually maybe now two, with the tight end that they've got in last year. They have done a very decent job of picking the right guy to bring in.
yeah, every one of them has been successful.
Right.
Even that offensive lineman they brought in from Cincinnati, I can't remember his name, but he's in the NFL too. Um, I can't remember his name, but
I thought they brought somebody in from Indiana that didn't work out.
oh, they may have. I don't know about that one. You're right; they could have.
No, not Kronk, Coughlin, or I
Well, I
can't
was gonna say
remember.
Kronk worked out. Kronk's in the NFL too.
Is he?
But anyway, um,
Okay.
Eric, yes, 100%, Eric. uh, Cade is going to make a huge difference because he understands the position better. He's accurate, and he will help the offensive line because he can read a defense, right? So he's going to understand, and he'll be able to see the rush coming. All the things that you saw him do at Michigan, he's going to do at Iowa. And the Iowa runs a different style, which is going to protect him a lot as far as having. I could see him completing 65. They're not going to 65% of his passes, but there won't be on a lot of those wide receiver screens and stuff. You know, although they may run him more next year, but with what Iowa has at receiver, the bubble screen and stuff isn't going to be nearly as good. They don't have unless they use one of their running backs out there to run it like that.
Mhm.
But no, I think Cade is going to bring a lot mentally, accurately. His pocket awareness is really good, which is going to help. Uh, but receivers have to catch the ball too, right? He
Mhm.
doesn't throw it nearly as hard as Petrus or Stanley for that matter. So when you have quarterbacks that throw it that hard, you have to have NFL wide receivers to catch it. And there were so many times Petrus would throw a good ball, hit the receiver in the hands, but he threw it so hard that it was a hard ball to catch, right? And I can remember one to uh, what's his Vines, to Vines in the back of the end zone. It was a great pass. He threw it to where only Vines could catch it, and Vines dropped it. And it's because that ball was humming. You know, it was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and you can't do that on every time you throw it. And that seemed to be that's all Petrus had was a 75-yard bomb, right? So even though you're only 10 yards away from the guy, but Cade throws a much more catchable ball, and he doesn't have the cannon, which I think is going to be better. He has the brain, and so does Marco, for that matter. The reason why Marco's not at least a 4-star, as for the experts, I've talked to some of them, and they say it's because of his arm strength. He makes up for arm strength with his brain, anticipation, knowing where to throw it because of he sees the defense. So he was a 4-star by the experts until he turned the experts down. I want to throw that out there before people start hitting me up that he's only a 3-star. He was a 4-star before he turned down the experts on their camps because he's working with Tony Rasiopi. He doesn't want to work with anybody else, and he didn't want to do all these extra camps. So that's why. And then they dropped him down to a 3-star. And they told me it's because of arm strength. But he was.
I think giving him 2 years under Cade, because I think Cade will probably be around for the 2 years that he said he would be around. Marco comes out and gives us 3 solid years as a starting quarterback after Cade leaves.
Oh yeah, I mean that's my hope. I mean I like Joey, right? But I think Joey probably transfers after a season with Cade if Marco passes him on the depth chart, which is obviously what I'm predicting.
Yeah, predicting.
But Joey is a really good QB, I'm hearing, so he could take it and run with it if he wants to, but he's going to waste a few years with Cade. Joey's already been through 2 seasons, and I think he uses the bowl game to prove what he can do.
Right.
When Cade comes in, and then he'll may back up Cade for a year and then transfer.
Right. I honestly think you're right on that because Labus doesn't want to wait around because he'd only have 1 year of eligibility left by the time Cade leaves.
Right. I mean, and he might. I think it depends on a lot on how good he plays in the bowl game.
Right.
Because he'll have tape on how good he can be, right?
Right.
So if he balls out in the bowl game, I mean, he may hit the transfer portal right away with Cade coming in. Because next year was supposed to be Joey's world, right?
Right, it was. I mean, everybody was saying that, it was his team next year, and all of a sudden, he's looking at coaches. I thought this was my team next year. I think that would take that personally and thinking, okay, these guys don't think I can lead this team next year.
I guess I missed on the Eric All part he's a tight end. He's fast. Goodness, I think he's probably the fastest tight end we've had. And he doesn't drop balls. So, and especially when Cade throws them, but he's only played with Cade, and Cade throws a very catchable ball.
The other thing about Eric is that he is one of the best blocking tight ends you will have.
Well, yeah, and so I won't say that because Lachey is really good too. Okay. They both are dogs at blocking.
Yeah.
So
I think this is going to be a year like we had with TJ and Fant, where they're both going to get a lot of equal throws coming up their way, a lot of them, and so neither one of them is going to run away statistically because I think they're going to get a lot of equal targets this year.
I mean, I think we'll see a lot of double tight end sets and stuff like that with both of them, but the receivers are going to be good too. Regini's going to come back. So,
are you sure? He hasn't said yet.
I heard he's coming back. So,
have you? Okay.
This is the first time I actually said it, though.
Yeah, Kirk was asked about that in the interview yesterday, and I was listening, and he just said they have talked, and he doesn't think that Nico has decided yet.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
he said he did let Nico know that if he wants to come back, that he's welcome. Why wouldn't you want him to come back?
Yeah. I mean, with K, Nico will probably lead the team in catches, like he did with Nate Stanley.
Right.
I mean, Regini had over 50 catches his freshman year with Nate Stanley as the quarterback.
Yeah. I think
So,
it just depends if he thinks that he's got a legitimate shot at the NFL.
right.
You know,
And I think he needs a year with the quarterback.
kind of like Riley Moss coming back for one more year.
Yeah, which that was a mistake. That was like Des King. It was a mistake coming back for 1 year for King as well. He came back for that bad 2016 team, and
Right.
then he dropped. He was looking to be a second, third round pick, and I think wasn't he drafted in the 5th round? So, and I think Riley Moss is in that same boat. Last year, he was the player of the year in the Big Ten, stuff like that, and he had all the accolades. And I think he would have been a third round pick. Where now, I think he dropped because they didn't. Well, I mean, they didn't throw it his way. I don't even know. Did he have a pick this year?
No, because I remember that
he kept
they
dropping.
thought he had one, and then they took it away from him. Somebody said that would have been his first pick of the year.
So yeah, no, I think I mean I'm excited about the future of Iowa football. I just hope that I'm wrong. I hope Brian does get a chance to come back. I know I predicted that this would be his last game calling plays, but a couple of the recruits that I heard would not sign with Iowa if Brian was gone signed. So I think they might keep this coaching staff, let them have another year with what they recruited.
Yeah. I think Brian only had a few really bad calls and during the course of the year. The problem was his team couldn't execute the plays.
I mean, the plays were wide open. I mean, and that's and that's why I say 80% of the problem. And I've sat and watched the game with the games with coaches. They say the same thing. I mean, having a bad O line doesn't give you an excuse to suck at quarterback.
No,
I sit there and I've showed so many people all these plays, and they're just like, "You're just showing those plays." That doesn't give you an excuse to miss on those plays.
No, it doesn't.
So,
it doesn't. That just kind of reminds me of the Drew Tate years. I think the first year they had to roll Drew out a lot, and Drew was able to get rolled out, and he was able to make passes, and they passed probably more than they ran that year.
Well, they had to. Remember that year. Yeah. If you're talking about his sophomore year, they were down to their 6th string running back.
Right, they were.
I mean, you're compared.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Fine. You take your oranges, I'll take my apples.
Yeah.
There you go. What about this Brock Purdy comment? I don't know who said this comment because it's actually in quotes. Changed my mind.
Brock Purdy will be. Some guy does that on campuses. Like he goes across the country on college campuses, and he does a change my mind segment. So I'm guessing that's what this is. I think so. I mean, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, and he's in the perfect situation. This goes back to what I said, which I didn't think. Remember last year, I did not think that Matt Campbell would ever beat Iowa because he has no clue what he's doing on game days, right? Now, he did end up beating Iowa, but that's because of Iowa's incompetence.
Iowa beat themselves in that game. Iowa easily beat themselves in that game.
They fumbled inside the 1-yard line. I mean, good grief. The offense was the worst we've ever seen. So, but anyway, it still goes to proves my point, though, is Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback if he's in the right system. San Francisco is the right system. And it's a system you think Iowa State would run when they had the running backs that they had. Iowa State could run the ball all day against Iowa with their running backs. Not last year, but previous years. And they still chose to throw the ball. Go back to 2 years ago when Brock Purdy threw, 3 interceptions maybe? Their running back, Breece Hall, it was averaging 5 yards a pop. And they said, well, you know what? Let's just throw the football. This running thing sucks. And that's what their running backs always do well against Iowa, but they don't like to run the ball. I mean, Matt Campbell, and that's why I say Matt Campbell is one of with Scott Frost, the worst game day coaches in the country. He's lucky he's at Iowa State because when he wins 8 games, they cheer for the gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think his time is going to run out on him if he doesn't, at least try to get to 9 wins. It ran out on Dan McCarney, which was the dumbest fire Iowa State's ever done, was firing Dan McCarney. So, Brock Purdy's in the perfect situation. He won't have to throw the ball more than 20, 25 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. He will have games where the defense will be able to shut down their run, where he will have to throw it. And I think one of his games he threw it over 30 times. But for the most part, he just has to hit the open receiver and throw it 20, 25 times, play action pass. No, Brock Purdy's in the perfect situation. Like I talk too much, so I could talk about football all day. But no, you're right, Jared. I'm with you. No, he hasn't. Arland, I don't know what he's waiting on. I was really hoping he would go to Mississippi State, and maybe the unfortunate situation with Mike Leach maybe stopped him. He hasn't gotten many offers. I mean, he would have been a great fit with Mike Leach. I don't know. K-State don't want him. So he's not going to K-State, which is what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he gets an offer from Kansas. He's struggling right now. I mean,
worst comes to worst, he can always come back to Iowa.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure the coaches would say, yeah. If it didn't work out for you, you found out the pasture wasn't going to be green, so you can come back.
I mean, yeah.
He wouldn't be the first one in Iowa to enter the portal and come back.
No, or anywhere. It happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to hurry because if Iowa gets a couple more receivers in the portal, they
might
not
be out of luck. Yeah,
because
he might be out of luck.
Iowa still has Jackson Ritter, who was hurt all year. He's a really good receiver, and he's big. Mm-hmm. Iowa still has other receivers, Jacob Bostic. Mm-hmm. The fans just overreact saying Iowa don't have receivers. It's hilarious.
I think what they're thinking is not receivers, but the quality 4 or 5-star type receivers. Because now that we lost, Caden Johnson, they're thinking, oh man, he was our go-to guy. Guy going to be Mr. Everything.
He was never the go-to guy. Remember, he's barely played. How many games has he played in an Iowa uniform? So,
well, I know for a fact he's only played 2 this year.
right, and very few plays.
Right.
So, no, they're not going to miss Keegan. It would have been nice. I rooted for him. I watched the kid in high school. He would have been great. It's unfortunate that he couldn't get the ball and stuff like that. It's unfortunate that he made mistakes that got him, injured to begin with. And it's unfortunate that he forgot to go to class. So, there's just a lot of things with
forgot. I like it. I'm in college. How do you forget to go to class? I'm in college. You make the decision not to go.
I was being nice.
I know you were. I know you were.
I really liked TJ. He was going to be. He still could be. He's going to be a great one in K-State if he figures out what he's doing. He's better than his brother, in my opinion. His brother is with the Seattle Seahawks.
I did not know that.
Yeah, his brother went the South Dakota State route, and he was a baller at South Dakota State. He's a speeder. He's a speedy guy. So he's faster than what KJ was or is.
Speaking of South Dakota State, is this the weekend South Dakota State and North Dakota State play for the title?
Yep.
They play some pretty good football. I've been impressed. I've been watching those playoff games.
No, that's fun. The Incarnate Word was fun to watch too.
Yeah.
The team that destroyed Nevada and everybody was talking smack about Iowa. Remember?
Yeah.
But that offense at Incarnate Word was unbelievable. Yeah, Jared, that does help. I mean,
Did you see that interview the other night? I think it was from Monday night or Thursday night football where um, Kittle and Brock were being interviewed together, and the announcer says, "By
yeah,
the way, how many games did you win at Iowa?" He goes,
yeah,
"I
I
want to
mean,
talk about that," and Kittle pipes in, "None."
yeah, yeah. I saw it. I love the banter. It was,
I love the way they were playing off of each other there.
yeah,
You
it
know,
was fun, and I loved how uh, Purdy said that. Well, Kittle never shuts his mouth, or he doesn't ever be quiet. And- and- but then Kittle took over the interview and talked about how good Purdy is.
hmm
Right? He's like, I can
right,
answer that. So he legit proved Purdy's point. He answered
right,
questions for Purdy.
yeah. No, that was fun. It was fun interview. I really thoroughly enjoyed that interview. And
Yeah.
it's funny because Kirk said that in his interview yesterday he watched that, but then he goes, "But it couldn't have been Thursday night because I don't have that channel to watch the football game on. So how did I see that?"
Oh, was that on Prime?
It was on Prime. It was on Prime.
I don't usually watch football. I saw that. I don't usually watch football on Prime. I wonder how I saw it because I don't like the way. I just don't like the way Prime's doing it right now. Maybe they're
Right.
better. I don't know.
I think
Um,
they've gotten better from week one. I know that there was a lot of complaints week one and how things were handled, but
oh yeah.
experience is it's a tell all. If you learn from your mistakes and try to improve it each week, then it's better. I watched it, not every game, but I watch it because I love watching football, and you
I
know
watched college on Thursday nights.
yeah. I watched the bowl game last night, but I don't remember. I think I turned it off after a while. I don't remember how it came out. The bowl game. Couple of teams. I can't even remember who played. Oh, Hilltoppers
Yeah.
and
Western Kentucky. Yeah.
Western
South
Kentucky
and South.
Hilltoppers. I think they were up 21 or 24-3 at one point when I
Oh
turned the game
yeah.
off.
Yeah, they dominated. It was South Alabama. They
Yeah.
dominated.
I don't
But
know the way they
their
were
offense
playing. I
is
was
fun.
thinking of I don't want to bring this up and make you depressed, but kind of remind me of a Mike Leach offense, the air raid.
Yeah, yeah their offense is fun. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. They yeah. But anyway,
uh,
I'm excited with the recruits. I can't wait, like I said, till January to uh to see what happens with the coaching staff and the transfers coming in. I can't wait till February to see if we add anybody, right?
right.
Um, I'm not sure they're looking. I'm not sure if they do add somebody, it might be the offensive line or receivers or
Mhm.
both, right?
Could be, yeah.
Um, I don't think they add much else because I mean, maybe a corner if there's a good corner out there because they want to put um, DeJean back in cash, right? So, so if they go after a corner, I can see that as well. And maybe TJ Hall's the guy or James Hines is the guy.
Mhm.
But Hall just obviously struggled against Nebraska. But
Oh, I missed it on the two deeps. Was Gene back on the two deeps?
yeah, he's
Okay.
at corner.
Okay. All right.
The
I missed it.
pass
I
is
went through it really quick, and the only thing I found was that they had a guy in the portal who was listed on the two deeps,
yeah,
and
he's gonna play.
I did not know that you could go in the transfer portal and still play
Oh
because I
yeah,
think he might be the only person I've ever seen do that.
no, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's to let other teams know that you're going to the portal, but
Right.
he can still finish if you're on good standing,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And
yeah. He's
Dallas,
good standing. Oh, Kirk had nothing but good things to say about him, and he said that
yeah,
he needed to go to a smaller team where he could stand out and get more playing time, and that was he was making the right decision for himself. So I
yeah.
think Kirk must have kind of helped encourage him a little bit.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, if you want playing time, if it's not about,
I don't think
no,
so.
no, he wasn't.
No, he's
No,
only been there. He was only there a couple of years, right?
this was his third year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. This was his third year. Uh, what was I don't remember what I was. You put Mike Leach in my brain, and my brain just goes.
Shouldn't have brought it up so quick.
Yeah, it's sad. I'm about to start crying again. What were we talking about? Like, keep thinking. Oh, about Dallas Critteth.
Right.
No, yeah, he's on good standing with the team, and he's on the depth chart, and that possibly could be why he may have played some defense, right? All the fans were mad that X wasn't, you know, uh, in that spot or even starting safety. But I'm sure X understands the situation. Maybe Dallas gets some of X's playing time because X is going to play next year. He's probably going to start, in my opinion. Next year, he will take over. He won't take Schultz's spot. He'll take. I know he's the backup to Schultz, but I think he'll be the other safety. He'll take Merriweather's spot. I don't think Castro will be the starting safety. Castro struggles in pass coverage, but I think X will be a good cash. If we don't get a corner, let X learn the cash position and go because he's more athletic. It's money. That's strictly money, Eric. He got the bag going to Oregon. A lot of teams did. Did you see? Right. Did you see how many people Oregon flipped? Did you see all those kids?
Yeah, they did. Oregon wants to win now.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so I will say this about Justin. He was, in order for him to come back to Iowa, he was given an NIL deal that required him this year. They gave it to him, but it required him to come back next year, and he was going to do that. And talking to the guy who's been handling him all year on his NIL deal, I guess you can call him his manager or whatever you want to call him. He himself didn't know that he flipped and did that, left the Iowa program. He said it was news to him, and he was taken by surprise too. He goes, I have no reason. I don't know why he left. He goes, I'm trying to put it all together and figure it out.
No, he left for money. He was going to be, but he also has to play, right?
Right.
So he would have been the starting. He would have been the starting linebacker. He wouldn't have been in the middle. Benson's going to go back to the middle, I'm sure.
Yeah. It just seems like there's certain players, like you include Terry Roberts in this one, that are always injured, and they just don't. They never live up to the hype that they're supposed to. And
I heard that's part of the reason why Terry left is because he's blaming the physical practices on being injured. He didn't like physical.
Yeah, if you want to be honest, so was Justin Jacobs, and so the guy who was handling him told me privately that the practice were so brutal and so physical, and the weightlifting on Sundays he felt led to unnecessary injuries. And I don't know how true that is because I'm not a football coach and I've never played football. So,
I mean, it doesn't make any.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any. The injuries part on physicalness, yes, but that's why Iowa's so physical on game day, right? There's a reason why Iowa is. You go all the way back to the Nebraska's old defensive coordinator, who said that Iowa's practices must be bloodbaths because of how physical they are. When Nebraska beat the pants off of them, this was like 5 years ago or whatever.
Right.
But that you practice the way you play a lot of times, right? There are gamers. There are kids who are gamers who don't practice well, but on game day they show up. But that's why Iowa's defense is as physical as it is. Coach Prime it's real hype. It's him. It's his personality. It's everything. He knows what words to say. He's the Donald Trump of college football coaches now. Like he's one of the best salesmen, regardless if he's telling facts or not, the truth. He knows how to sell himself, right? But Dion pretty much is factual. Everything he says, he promotes himself. He knows kids will come to him. I mean, the hype is that. Now, he did the same thing at Jackson State. He was the first historic black college coach to bring in 5-stars to play for him, right?
Mhm.
So he literally got kids who could have went to Alabama to go to Jackson State, which
So
is
the
a
question. Okay, go
go.
ahead.
I was
I
just
was gonna
saying,
say.
go ahead.
Listen, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I wanted to bunny off of that and just say, which begs to differ. Can he coach? Because did the talent carry his team at Jacksonville and or
Well,
whatever Jackson
Jackson,
State? Yeah,
Mississippi. Yeah,
yeah,
Jackson,
okay.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Uh, no, then that's actually what I was going to say is the big reason why he's only lost one game in his whole career was his recruiting, right? But
Hmm.
he's going to bring dogs in, and Colorado's going to start winning pretty much right away. His son is a great quarterback. I watched him play a lot, and he is so accurate. He can run, and it doesn't matter the competition you're going up against, because this is what I always say when everybody says that. If the receivers are open and you hit that receiver, I mean, that means you're accurate, right?
Hmm.
When we talk about Petrus, like let's just say Joey goes off and completes these passes to the open receivers, people are going to be like, well, Kentucky, they sucked or whatever. They had opt outs. It won't matter if you're completing the passes. I have video after video of Petrus having a wide open receiver, nobody around him, and missing him. So it doesn't matter when you're completing passes to open receivers. And that's what I mean. But he is accurate. But that Travis Hunter kid, who he went both ways at Jackson State, he just transferred. Travis Hunter's the one who left Alabama, or he canceled his commitment to Alabama and went to Jackson State for Dion, and he goes both ways. He was a wide receiver and corner for Jackson State,
Hmm.
so it'll be interesting to see if he does that at Colorado as well.
Right. All right. We should probably wrap this up. We've been going for an hour and 16 minutes. And I know that we could do this all day if we wanted to, but getting the people to watch this for that long might be a different story.
Um,
Um,
Colorado will be good, yes.
I'm going to bring up the banner again. Um, so I expect us to do a podcast early next week, sometime on the bowl preview, and then another one post bowl. Um, will you be able to be any part of those next week?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll try to figure out a time to broadcast them so that Paul can join us. If Paul's not.
Yeah, we'll just have to discuss a time that we can all do it.
Yeah. But
See you,
but
Jerry.
I just wanted to let people know that those two podcasts are coming up.
Yep.
Okay. And so I want to just one thing before we get out of here. I just want to remind you about Cincy by Terry. Don't forget to go to her website and check out her stuff and buy it. Actually buy it, and then let her know that you heard it here on this show and you want to buy it. I mean, you're buying it because you heard it here on this show, and you're buying it from a fellow Hawkeye fan who's really is about as passionate as you guys have to meet Terry. Sometimes we got to get her on here. She's about as passionate a Hawkeye fan as you guys will ever want to know.
Yeah, she is.
She's very passionate about her love for the Hawkeyes. So, with that being said, I think we're going to get out of here, guys. And thank you for listening. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
Make me good. Let's get to these final two comments out of the way. Let's see. Okay. Peace out and thanks for the info. We appreciate you guys listening, guys, and we appreciate your comments. You have no idea how much we appreciate you guys commenting and adding your 2 cents during the show. We appreciate it very much. All right.
Yep.
Okay,
All
we're
right.
out. Bye, Terry, as usual.
Bye, Terry. Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul. You too, I bet.